Creators are rightfully concerned about AI tools, but in my opinion, only 1 out of 3 categories of AI tools truly present any kind of danger to creator and their ability to create a viable business. The other 2 categories can actually be super helpful. Those 3 categories are the AI tools that's gonna completely duplicate your work, AI tools that are gonna replicate some parts of your work and make it better, and AI tools that will do something that you've never been able to create before. Let's start with AI tools that will actually possess any kind of danger to your creator well-being. And I think the great example of that kind of a tool is the tool that fully replaces the kind of creative work that you do. So for any kind of creator who sees a tool and they realize that all of a sudden, one for one, what they today create and make money out of can be done by another tool, that's totally a point to be concerned. And the example that I want to show you today is Notebook LM. If you haven't heard about this tool before, essentially what this tool does, you can plow in a ton of information into this tool by Google, and it can go and generate for you the audio transcript of the summary of all the information that you've uploaded into the tool. The interesting part is that it doesn't just read it off to you. It creates a dialogue between a couple of people, their natural pauses, their mistakes, their clearing of throats. There are people actually making comments, and even kind of like diverting themselves a little bit, but naturally progressing through the entire discussion, like if that was an actual dedicated podcast. This was one of those tools that when you see for the first time, it broadens your horizon, you realize, wait a second, something like this is possible. And when you start thinking about any kind of creator who today just reads off the news or doesn't do much of analysis of a particular article and they just kind of like regurgitate what they read online to their audience in the audio podcast, yeah, those times might be over, especially considering that a lot of those podcasts do not necessarily always address the exact needs of the viewer, of the listener. And as Samir of Colin Samir said when he was commenting on this tool, there is a world in which you can potentially get in your car and realize, okay, I have a 25-minute commute to XYZ spot, and I want to check in on the score by my favorite team. I want to check in on some of the political news. And by the way, I want to check in on what's going on, the latest, the greatest in the creator economy. And you can go to an app like this and you can essentially say, hey, generate for me 25-minute podcast episode that covers the scores by Lakers, talk to me about the latest political news, and by the way, give me the top 5 headlines from the creator economy. And this kind of tool hypothetically can go and generate for you the 25-minute custom tailored podcast specifically for you and your interest and the time duration that you have to listen, which is completely heads and shoulders above experience to anything that you have available to you today, where you kind of have to go and figure it out. You have to scroll, you have to speed through several different podcasts before you find the right information. This kind of tool makes my life so much easier that it negates the need to listen to all those other podcasts. The only podcasts that are still kind of like safe are the personality-driven ones, because if your audience enjoys following you for your personality, you might be safe. But I'm listening to some news podcasts and I like the host, but I'm really there for the information. And if you'll tell me I can skip through some of the information that I usually don't care about, and you're going to give me some additional information that they don't cover, I'll switch from that podcast to this kind of custom podcast in a heartbeat. The second type of AI tools are more of a complementary tools for the creators. And this is the kind of category that you enter where I don't think you should be really concerned about it, because ultimately it's going to make you feel more productive. It'll make you more effective at your job as a creator. An example that I want to show you today is the Spotter tool. So Spotter is actually the company that invests and syndicates creator content, but they released this Spotter Studio tool that essentially allows you to brainstorm using their AI tools, the titles, thumbnails, and even synopsises of your videos, which is super cool because like in this case, I just plugged in and I already picked a couple of titles for the videos. And what I want to really show you is the fact that, say, if you pick a title for the video, which was by the way generated by the tool itself as well, like AI tool is my nemesis, I can go straight to the thumbnails and it will generate for me a few ideas for the thumbnail, for the video on this subject. And this becomes more of a additive to my production space, because some of these ideas, maybe, I don't know, maybe I would not have come up with a thumbnail design like this, right? Or maybe it would take me a lot longer to go and like create some sort of like a thumbnail pre-design before I even get to the point where I can actually in Photoshop create something and take the right photo. Where here I start getting some ideas about, oh, this is the kind of assets I need in the background. Here's kind of potential I need to, position myself in the frame. And even here, the best part is that I can go and keep kind of like exploding it and starting to think, hey, show me different composition, show me different variation of this thumbnail. Would not have thought about using a sword. Interesting idea. Not really sure about that. But again, right, it's that giving you some interesting ideas and thoughts in terms of how your thumbnail would look like. So this actually speeds up my process because I'm naturally is not as creative when it comes to thumbnail designs. My thumbnails were drastically improved, in my opinion, since I started using this tool because they got a lot more creative, a lot more interesting. Like this is a very interesting thumbnail to potentially use, right? So you can start like thinking and brainstorming through the process and speed up your creative process. And there are more tools like this. There are tools that potentially help you with scripting. There are tools that help you improve the audio production. So like in the past, if you have to go and like play with equalizer and to like tweak different settings to improve the audio, now you can use one of these tools and essentially automatically fix the entire audio. There are tools that allow you to remove ums, like those pauses in the video if you recorded a long video, and it will automatically cut it and remove a lot of those pieces away from it. And Adobe announced it at Adobe Max a few weeks ago, a slate of different other tools that essentially allow you to go and modify the video, improve the coloring, speed up the process of creating layers within the video, speed up the process, rotoscoping people out of videos, hiding different objects. Like these are the kind of tools I don't think the creator should be worried about, because ultimately these tools speed you up. They speed you up in the production. They make you better at the production. They also open up some interesting, unique ideas that you might have not thought about, which again improves the quality of your product. And if that's the ultimate outcome of using some of those tools, you should absolutely use them. Don't oversubscribe and use like 10,000 of them. But if there are a couple of tools that you can really see can help you improve your production process, why not? This is the same way as in the past when people used to Photoshop the photos by cutting them out and putting them on the negative and taking the scan. Now you do it all digitally in seconds, right? And Photoshop received the same negative reception at the very beginning because people were afraid of it. Now it's a ubiquitous tool. Similar to these tools, I think we're going to see a little bit of pushback at the very beginning, but they're going to become a lot more ubiquitous over time. The final category of the AI tools that I want to talk about are the AI tools that can do something that you've never been able to do in the first place. So that's a completely something revolutionary to your process. And that tool for me was Midjourney. Again, many can argue that, hey, Midjourney can be in the prior category, but in my opinion, Midjourney is a great example of a tool that for someone like myself enabled me to create images that I could have envisioned in my head, but I don't have the tools, I don't have the arms and the way to execute and create some of them. And this is the example, again, we're just scrolling through the gallery of a bunch of different things that people created through this tool, but you can see kind of like the diversity of the style and the genres and the kind of things people can create. All of this created from scratch. And that's kind of like the beauty of this tool, is that whatever you envision, whether it's, just like this kind of illustration, a bunch of kittens, or I don't know, some sort of like a futuristic place, Cristiano Ronaldo among chickens, have no clue what that was about, but I'm sure there's some interesting story behind this image. But again, it gives you that freedom. It gives you the freedom to create a lot more that you would have been capable of without this tool. And this is, again, another one of those tools that I don't think you should be afraid of. In my case, as I said, I'm not an illustrator. I'm bad at it. I can cobble together certain things here and there, but I'm not that good. Here, with a tool like Midjourney, now it enables me to create visuals for things that in the past would have been completely out of my reach. I would have had to go and like hire someone to go and create it. But now I can go and create those things and kind of like use them as placeholder assets in some of my videos or in some of my other type of work. There's always a devil's advocate's argument to say, yeah, but what about digital illustrators who you would have hired to do this kind of work? And that argument stands for kind of like, I think, larger corporations or people who actively hire illustrators. For 99% of the creators, I don't think they're even in a place to afford hiring an illustrator. So you're not really replacing anything because there's nothing there to begin with. You're just giving them the tool to start using some sort of illustrations in their work. And as they get better, they'll never get to the point where they can go and never rely on a dedicated illustrator. I think these tools are great. They give me some ideas, but I cannot like take one of these images from Midjourney and make it 10 times better. Professional illustrator can. Professional illustrator can use this as a base framework and then create something better. And this is why I don't think creators should be shying away from using this kind of tools, or others should be judging them for using these tools, because again, they would not have been able to afford a dedicated illustrator in the first place. So no illustrator lost any money from the creator using Midjourney early on in their career. But what it means is that down the line, when they're ready to hire someone, they have the visual language and the words to describe what exactly they need, and even some examples that they can use Midjourney to generate as a prompt to show to the illustrator that they're hiring. And they're going to speed up the entire process of the creation and work with a professional illustrator, who will of course do much better job than an AI tool. But the good news is that for them it's a less frustrating experience, for the creator it's a less frustrating experience, and the creator learns so much more about their taste, about their style, while using this kind of a tool, which before they would have, like me, probably just got stuck at drawing stick figures. I totally recognize this can be a very controversial subject. AI tools and how we attribute the work, right, that was used to teach those models is still an open topic, and I still have no answers for, right? And how does this affect the end result? Or how does it affect some of those individual niche careers within the creative work? That's also is yet to be seen. But I think overall, as a creator, you should look at some of these tools, and if they completely replace the kind of work that you do, you should consider pivoting or creating something unique enough that the dedicated a single tool cannot replace you. If there are tools like Spotter that actually supplement your work, make it better, speed up your process, you should absolutely adopt them, and no one should judge you for it. And if it's something like Midjourney that helps you do something that never was even accessible to you, again, you should continue to use it. No one should really judge you for it. And as things shake up, just be open to the fact that we should always respect each other's creative freedoms and right to the work that other creators do. But the progress is not stopping. AI tools are not stopping. And it's in creators' best interest to learn how to make them part of their workflows and how to befriend these tools instead of falling behind the technological progress because they just decided that this was one step too far in that entire journey. Honestly, there's probably going to be 10 new things that's going to come up between now when I record this video and by the time I publish it. So let's see. It'll probably be a recurring subject on this channel. I'll see you next Saturday. Peace.